All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Vashawn Jones, visionary of Fedora Outlier LLC, and we are back for another Conversations broadcast. And today we're going to talk about the 7 things that are holding or could be holding you guys back from employment. And this is not just for the disabled community, this is for anyone who has the desire to work and is not working and doing what they love, which is what we talk about. Now, who am I? I am Vashawn Jones, the visionary of Fedora Outlier LLC, and our job is to assist with finding or creating work that is meaningful, purposeful, and profitable. And so, before I get started, here is the introduction music without me doing the goofy dance this time. All right, and today's guest is Michael, and he is from Morgan. Is it Morgan Dynamic Research, Mike?
Yes, it is. Morgan Dynamic Research.
Morgan Dynamic Research, and they are the innovators and inventors of this device that I'm holding up right here, and it is the Palm Writer. Phenomenal device. To tell you all about it, it's Michael from Morgan Dynamic Research. You guys put your virtual hands together for Michael. Mike, I need you to
Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
pretend that there was virtual hands being given up for you. First of all, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Just getting over a little cold, so I apologize about the sore throat sounding.
Not a problem. What state are you in? Is that New Hampshire or Rhode Island?
Well, the company is in New Hampshire. I'm in South Florida.
Oh, got you. Yeah, it's not fun having a cold and having great weather. I tell you, it's the worst.
It pains me.
Yeah. So, how did you get involved with Morgan Dynamic Research?
I was looking on LinkedIn, and I was doing some research on items and devices for the blind. And an article came up about the Palm Writer. So I contacted James and Mark Morgan, and I expressed to them my interest in the device. It was supposed to be a device that could help me with finding out how far things away were from me. Mm-hmm. And since I was used to using my cane, I thought that this would be interesting. I try to stay active. I have 2 younger daughters. They're always driving me crazy, running around the block, driving in their car and bicycles. And I was looking for devices that could help make that experience easier for me. Okay.
And it's funny because I actually got in contact with the company via LinkedIn as well. And I believe it was Mark that I originally spoke to.
Yes, the same. Mark is fantastic. And then he introduced me to his son, James, and they're both the creators, the engineers, and they do all of the legwork to put the machines together. It's a phenomenal company.
Got you. So tell us about this device, the Palm Writer. What is it? What's some of its uses? What's your testimony in using the device?
Of course. Would you like me to describe how it looks for the customers that you have, the listeners that you have that are blind?
Sure. And I'm holding it up just in case you can't see. So go ahead.
Wonderful. So it's a device that is roughly in the shape of a small brick. And then on the outside of one of the edges of the brick is a rolling wheel. And that wheel rolls up and down the palm of your hand, roughly from your fingertips to the base of your palm. And then there's a Velcro strap to strap it around your hand if you'd like that. And there's also a wrist strap that you can put around your wrist, very similar to the old Nintendo Wii nunchucks. And then they also send a lanyard that you can clip onto it as well in case you'd rather have it hanging from your neck when you're not using the device.
Sure.
And when you turn it on to use it for the first time, it's always recommended that you put your hand over the top where the sensors are. That way the roller rolls all the way forward to let you know what the closest point of contact is. And then if you move your finger off to the side, because there's two little holes that you can feel for the sensor, and you only cover one sensor, the wheel would roll all the way back to give you its farthest reach. I've noticed that this is good for about 8 feet around me.
Okay.
And what I use it for is many things. So biggest problem that I used to have is my family and I, we love to go to Disney World. Mm-hmm. And when you're walking around Disney World and you're waiting in line, the only way that I would stop if I'm by myself or with my daughter who was 2 or 3 and, we're going on the rides, if she doesn't stop me, my cane hits the back of people's legs. And then that's when I know when to stop. So I was like, man, this is, it's not a bad solution, but it's not ideal because I'm always hitting people. What the Palm Rider allowed me to do was when we got into a ride lane, I would put my cane away and I would pull out the Palm Rider, and by using it, I would know how far away the person is standing in front of me. I would know when they walk, and I know how far away I can be without bumping into them. That was my first true, real usage of it. I have 2 daughters. Now they're 8 and 4, but when we were visiting Disney, one was 3, one was 1. Mm-hmm. So me and the 3-year-old stayed at the park while my wife went back with the baby to take a nap. And, it was fantastic. Honestly, the most fun and freedom I've had walking around Disney World. Right. So then we applied that to local places. I would go to the mall. I would go to Walmart. I would go to restaurants. And rather than using my cane, I would use the Palm Rider, and I could tell where the seats were located. I could tell where the pathway was for me to walk. There is a bit of a learning curve at first. So, you have to kind of get the feel for where the Palm Rider is on your wrist or on your fingertips to know how far away things are. But once you get used to that, it does give you an extra sense of freedom. We have a Power Wheels car that my daughters love to drive around the block with. Mm-hmm. And before, I would have to take my cane, have it touching the end of the car, and then walk behind them to make sure that they're always there in front of me. That's not bad, but again, my sidewalk is curvy, and sometimes I lose them based on which way they turn or how fast they go. So what the Palm Rider allows me to do is if I point it at them, it lets me know whether they're 2 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet, or 8 feet in front of me, or closer, and it's just fantastic. If they veer off, I just have to wiggle the Palm Rider to the left or the right until it picks them up again, and then I know which direction they drove. Fantastic experience. Yeah. One thing that it did for me that I don't think any other device could do on the planet was we went to the aquarium. And again, I was with my 2 daughters, and we were at a dolphin fish tank. And my kids, I'm a short guy, I'm about 5'3", but my kids are shorter than me. Mm-hmm. And they're looking straight ahead into the tank looking for dolphins. And just accidentally, I had the Palm Rider facing up over them, just so I wouldn't hit them in the head when I was looking into the tank. And it went off. It actually picked up a dolphin swimming by, and I told my daughters, look up, it's a dolphin. And they looked up, and they're like, oh, yeah, there it is. So the Palm Rider was actually able to see a dolphin that, again, my stick can't do, and I don't know of any other device personally that can do that. So that's what made me instantly fall in love with it. I could go around the block with my kids. I could see things in fish tanks. It was just, things that I used to be able to do back when I could see.
Right. And I was recently at Disney World last year with my daughter, and if I would have had this device, I would have saved a lot of ankles from being hit with my cane. But what I did do over this weekend, I played a game of hide and seek using the Palm Rider with my niece who's 5, and I was able to, like you said, when we kind of lost track and she was hiding, I could find her. And, I made her promise that if I find you and I point to you, you have to be honest and say, I got you, because, you're a tricky one. But, yeah, I am thoroughly enjoying this device. What other devices do you guys make at Morgan Dynamic Research?
So one of them is my personal favorite. The other one is the one that I use the most, which I also love, but I'll explain them in a sec. Okay. So what we have is they make executive-style walking canes, mm-hmm. right? A big complaint that I've always had is that the foldable canes, which are white with the red reflective, this at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
They work great if you're, if you're walking across the street at night and cars are, reflecting the headlights off of the cane. But I hate them. I absolutely hate them. It looks, for me, unprofessional when I'm going to a business meeting and I have to have this big ugly cane folding, and it's cumbersome. I can't stick it in my pocket. There was just so many negatives to it.
Mm-hmm.
So Morgan Dynamics Research made two separate items. One of them is a cane that's executive painted colors: black, royal blue, deep rich purple, red, pink.
Silver.
And you could use them when you're going they're meant for indoor use, right? Because they're not reflective, the executive style, but they look great in business meetings. And I've gotten complimented on 14 different times over the past 3 months on how great the cane looks. And they're super light, and they're actually able to fold up into your pocket. So whenever you go on a trip, they're telescopic. So you just fold it in, shove it in your pocket, and then continue doing what you need to do. But that's one of my favorite things to use. They also have the same thing, but it has a fluorescent paint on it, which can be seen up to 500 yards away on a flat surface when lit by black light or from a car light reflective. It's actually a lot more reflective than the white and red cane. They're super light. The colors are neon-ish, so it's not my flavor, but they're still beautiful because of how easily I could just fold it up and slide it right into my pocket. So that's one series that they make, these executive and professional canes. My personal favorite, though, is a new branded lightsaber cane. So we have a walking cane that has the hilt of Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, and it has sounds, it has lights, and it has a force echo ability where it makes a pinging sound. And for those that can navigate using the force echo, the echo sounds, you can navigate with this hilt. They have a secondary hilt, which is a Darth Vader hilt. That one does not have a blade, and the blade is just a walking cane. So the Darth Vader one does not have a blade, but because of the shape of the hilt, the cone actually amplifies the force echo sound, so you're able to see better if you have the force echo capability.
Interesting. Okay. Got you. And so I was researching because I'm a cane fanatic, and I'm like you. Those heavy white with the big ball at the end canes drove me crazy because, they just look beat up and old. And I noticed that you guys make a silver cane, and I had Mark and James looking for one for me to send so that I can test it out and ultimately make a purchase, because I love canes that look good, that accentuate your attitude and your style and the boardroom setting. So I can definitely agree with that. Now let's talk pricing and where to get these particular items. So we got the different types of canes. We have the Palm Rider. Before we get into pricing, is there anything else that you guys develop?
Those are the things that I have the most experience with. There's a few other things that are coming in the future, but these are the three that, or the four items that I can speak very well on.
Got you. And so also, what exactly is Morgan Dynamic Research? What do you guys do? What's kind of the mission for MDR?
To make life more accessible. And that's the basic foundation of the belief system. We're all nerds. We all love to use our engineering and computer skill set to make life easier for everybody, do a good service, and create things that people will actually use.
Okay. Cool. All right. And so, Christy, if you can chime in for a sec and give out the call-in number. We're not doing call-ins right now, but just to get them prepared. And I'm going to have Mike answer the question now on pricing and where to get these items. So, Mike, start with the Palm Rider. How much is it, and how do you guys sell it, and what comes in the box and all that great stuff?
Sure. So the Palm Rider ranges from $600 to $800. You get the Palm Rider. You have a USB charging cable and a power a plug, and then an instruction manual, of course. The instruction manual does have a QR code on it, so just in case you can't see that well, you can scan the instruction booklet with your phone, and a QR code will pop up, and the QR code is completely accessible with both VoiceOver on the iPhone and TalkBack on the Android devices.
Excellent. Good one there. Yeah. Cool. And the
Definitely.
cane pricing?
The canes range from $80 to $160 depending on the type of paint job you like. They can do custom paint jobs. If you go, for example, to a school and the school's colors are red and green, you can have each portion of the telescopic cane painted a separate color for you. So they vary in that range. And when you receive it, you have the cane, which has a wrist strap, and you have a sleeve to put it into, and then you have a fiber, a cloth to clean it.
Interesting. Interesting. Now, what's the size of the canes? I thought I saw something like 48, 45 inches. Are they in different sizes or just that one size?
Right now, we have that one size, but we can order the bigger sizes and have them printed as well. So up to, I think, 56 or 58 inches is the longest one I think we've ever needed to do. But the 48 one is just the normal size. It's the one that kind of fits for the purpose of walking around indoors. I know there are those people that do like the longer canes for the extended reach, but this is more for the indoor use where you're walking in between office desks or in a bank or going to a meeting, and you have to stay within a 48-inch radius.
Got you. That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. How tall are you, Mike, if I may ask?
I'm 5'3".
Okay.
I'm a shorty. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. So we got the variety of canes. We have the Palm Rider. You got new things on the horizon. So where can people make the purchase of these particular items that you guys sell?
Sure. They can contact me directly if they like, and I'll give out my mobile number. Or they can visit the website, morgandynamicresearch.com, and get information there. Whatever's easier for your listeners.
Excellent. Cool. All right, so I'm sure that there are going to be some people with some questions one way or the other, whether it's the topic that we're about to get into in just a sec, or from for Mike, working with Morgan Dynamic Research. Mark and James said they would be watching, so if you guys can see and hear us, hello. Feel free to jump in if you got any questions or anything that you guys would want to add to what Mike has stated. And before we do, Christy, what's the phone number?
The phone number is 678-846-6822.
And one more time.
678-846-6822.
Excellent. All right. So, listen, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything that you'd like to say, dial that number. And Mike, if you can hold on one sec, a lot of this stuff you probably have already heard since you are employed, but there are thousands that are not. And so we're going to get right into it. Sounds like a plan?
Great. Yes, sir.
All right. Hold on one sec. I had to pull up the notes. All right. So I travel all around the United States and around the world, helping individuals with disabilities become financially independent. And my history is I started with assistive technology 13, 14 years ago, creating a company called Numpad Plus. And that was my entryway into assisting people with technology. Since then, that's kind of morphed into this whole big old gigantic thing with working with VR and VA clients as well as the private sector. And what I realize is that people with disabilities, a lot of them haven't gained a fundamental knowledge of what it means to work. I run across people who have had vocational rehabilitation cases for literally 22 years. There's no reason for that, especially, and not limiting, but especially if your only disability is you're blind and there's no cognitive or no additional mobility issues. Just closed out a case today that has been on the books for 13 years. 13 years. And all it took was for that individual to really find out what it meant to work. They never seen work before. They heard it. But if you've never been on a job interview, how do you know what it is that the interviewer is looking for? How do you know that this is a cat and mouse game? How do you know how to navigate an interview so that it's in your favor? And those things have to be taught by people who have actually interviewed individuals, who have actually hired individuals, who know what it is that a company is looking for. Self-employment is a big thing that everyone has the ability to do. Everyone has a passion. Everyone has a purpose in life. Everyone has something that they can do and do well that nobody else is able to do in the manner that you're able to do it in. Now, I'll give you an example, and I give it all the time. It's writing a book on love. If you wrote a book on love, right? Well, it's hundreds of books on love. But only you can give your unique perspective to that one word, love, and that book that you write. And that happens all the time, every day. I help people to start businesses that teach multiple languages, internet businesses, ice cream shops, exercise businesses, you name it, we've assisted with it. Assisted with it. I like that. All right, so the 7 things that I have, and I'll break each one of them down to help you find or create work that is meaningful, purposeful, and profitable, is the first one is read lots of books. All right, 5 years from now, you will be in the same place doing the same exact thing, except for the books that you read and the people that you associate yourself with. So the reason why reading lots of books are important is because it gives you different perspectives on the things that you want to learn on the cheap. What I mean by that? So if you want to learn about marketing, go grab 10 books, Amazon, 99 cents, on marketing. And yeah, 4, 5, 6 of them are going to be bad. But the only way for you to know that that was a bad book is that you were able to read 3 or 4 great books on marketing. And out of those 10 books, you were able to take away things that's going to help you learn more about marketing. Now, the biggest thing to that is you have to actually try some of the things that are in the book and fail, and then learn from those mistakes and do it again until you get better at your chosen thing. If you want to learn how to play a guitar, a saxophone, when you first pick it up, you don't know anything. You might want to read a book, watch a YouTube channel, listen to a podcast, get you a private teacher, go to school. But either way, reading books is going to help you along your journey. Now, James Patterson books are great, but it has nothing to do with marketing except for the fact that he was able to market to you to get you to read the James Patterson book. Cool. So that is 1. 2, be visible. What do I mean by be visible? If you're stuck in the house, nobody knows you and you don't know anybody. So your field of influence, your field of reference, and people being able to know you and what you do is very, very small. If you're not out, if you're not going to eat lunch, if you're not networking, if you're not the only blind person in the room, if you're not going out to various events, for example, seems like if I want to find a job, I would be at a human resources convention. If I want to find a job, I would be at the places that are hiring and I would be visible, right? It's only one way to do that. You have to be out. You have to be where the people that are looking for what you have to offer is at. You know, it's like going to a concert and listening to your favorite band. The reason why you're there is because you like what they are doing, you like what they play. The same thing with you. You have to be where people who like what you do are at. And I keep naming book writing. By the way, my new book, Empowerment, will be out in 2020. But anyway, the reason why I keep mentioning that is because I love work that you do the work up front one time and you duplicate it over and over and over again. But how do you duplicate sales? You have to be visible, right? You have to be visible. If you're in the house and your business is not on the internet and you're saying you can't find a job, that's the reason. Well, that's one of them, because you're not visible. Number 3, build relationships. You can't be visible, or you can't build relationships if you're not visible. You can't be visible if you're not building relationships. They work hand in hand. A perfect example of that. Both me and Mike, we spoke about LinkedIn and reaching out to Morgan Dynamic Research, both for different reasons. He was looking for a solution and I was looking to make a relationship. And it turns out, and mind you, this isn't, a month-long relationship. This literally all happened in a 2-week span. And what does that do? That opens the door for more dialogue. It makes for the ability to be able to bounce things off of each other. Now, Morgan Dynamic Research clearly is a research company. If we need some research done, or if we need to understand researching, if we need to understand what product development and bringing a product to market looks like, then why wouldn't I reach out to a company as I hold this device in my hand that has done it? You have to build relationships. That is the key. Remember, 5 years from now, you will be in the same place doing the same exact thing, except for the books that you read and the relationships that you build, the people that you meet. That's a guarantee. And I can guarantee you, if you find someone that is in the same place that's stuck, look at the books that they read and the people that they hang around. All right. 4, tell everyone your ideas. Now, number 1, you're out in the public. You're building relationships. You're reading books. You have some great ideas. Tell everyone your ideas. Now, why is that a myth? Everyone says, I'm not going to tell anyone my idea. They might steal it. No. The world is too busy to take your idea and implement it. I could tell Mike, just because he's on the line, hey, man, I'm recording an album. It's going to be titled this. It's going to have XYZ amount of songs on it. And I'm going to get whoever to be on the album. Do you think he's going to be like, you know what? That's a great idea. I think I'm going to take it. Nobody does that. Except for the people who do this. They ready, aim, 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 aim. Ready, aim, aim. They never fire. They never pull the trigger. Those are the people who say, I'm not going to tell anybody my idea because somebody might take it. Somebody needs to tell you because you're not using it. But guess what? If you were looking for an apartment, you would be telling everyone, hey, if you find an apartment in Manhattan, for this price, let me know. If you were looking for a house, a puppy, anything else, you would tell as many people as you knew to widen the net so that you can be able to gain employment or gain the thing that you want. The more people that you tell, the more people that can help you with your vision. The more people that can give you advice on what it is that you're trying to do. The more people that are going to allow you to test out your product. The more people that are going to allow you to be able to bounce ideas off of. So tell everyone what your idea is. And the key thing about that, is that they are going to do one or two things. They're going to accept it or they're not. They're going to tell you that it's a piece of crap idea and they may not be right. Or they're not going to tell you anything, but they're going to give you some type of feedback, some type of indication that you are on the right track. And the biggest thing is let your haters be your motivators. I got a guy right now that, he literally hates the ground I walk on. Had a conversation with him the other morning, and he said, I despise you. But he couldn't come up with a reason why, which let me know that for the last 10 years, I've been on a great path, according to him, and his hate. So let your haters be your motivators. 5, take advantage of opportunities. Every day that you wake up is a day for new opportunities. Every single day that you wake up is a day for new opportunities. But guess what? If you don't know where you want to go or an inkling of how you even want to get there, you're not going to recognize the opportunities when they come. How do you know something is an opportunity if you have no direction? You don't. But if you are solid on what you want to do, where you want to go, have some semblance of how you want to get there, then you'll see an opportunity because it's like, hey, it's a piece to the puzzle that you don't have. Somebody's going to say, hey, man, I remember you was trying to figure out how to bottle your soft drink. I know this bottling company. But if you don't know that you want to make soft drinks, then that opportunity will never come. Number one, nobody will ever know that you need a bottling company. And you don't know that this is your golden ticket to do, what it is that you want to do. Going back to the writing a book thing, how do you know that your proofreader is the right one if you don't even know that you want to write a book and nobody else knows? And that's the thing when it comes to vocational rehabilitation. Vocational rehabilitation is an opportunity. But the number one, bar none, I'm talking about this, if it was percentage-wise, this is the 98% reason why most cases linger on for years and years and years, because you don't know what you want to do. And so if you don't know what you want to do, then nobody else is going to know what you want to do. And so you will not be able to see the opportunities in what you want to do because you have no clue as to what you want to do. If you're out and you're visible, opportunities are going to come to you. If you are building relationships, opportunity is going to come to you. It's just the way it works. 6. If you don't mind, let me take a brief drink. Hold on one sec. All right. So number 6 out of 7 is fail often, fail forward, and never make the same mistake twice. What do I mean by that? If you're doing something, worth having something, you're gonna fail, right? And you're gonna fail, hopefully learning from your mistakes. And that's why I say fail forward. Fail moving in a direction. You don't want to be standing still and falling. That makes no sense. That's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So fail forward, fail capturing your dream, fail moving into a direction and a path that you've created for yourself. Fail often as possible. And I can guarantee you, if Mark or James were on this line and they tell you about the research just creating the palm writer, they would tell you that they failed a lot of times and they didn't get it right the first time. And they probably feel they don't have it right now, but they're going to fail, and they're going to fail forward, i.e., creating something better. Never making the same mistake twice. It's like when you're 2 and you touch the stove. After the first time, it's hot. That's something we all remember. It's hot. And so you don't go back and touch that same hot stove again. And if you approach the stove, you're going to approach it from a different angle, a different perspective. And that's the same thing with anything else that you are attempting to do. I'll give you an example. I just recorded and released my first song ever in the world. Like, it's mine. I already started collecting royalties from the people listening and purchasing just today amongst my friends, right? It's not going to be my best work. And a lot of things with it, I feel like I failed at. But moving forward, I'm going to create better and better music that I enjoy, that I'm comfortable with. And so fail forward, fail often, and never make the same mistake twice. Learn from that mistake and move forward. Number 7. All right, and you guys can go ahead and call in at this particular time. Christy is letting all of you guys know on social media that you can call in before we get to number 7 and close out with Mike. I'd like to thank the guys at Morgan Dynamic Research for sending me this great device that, again, I'm holding up. Definitely can't wait to try out your executive canes. I actually have a speech that I'm doing for the Mayor's Council in North Carolina, so I would love to, in October, so I would love to show off one of your canes, especially if you have it in silver, because I've been wanting a silver cane for sure. All right. Number 7. Build streams of income. When you've mastered 1 through 6, your relationships should help you to bring in streams of income. You don't want to be dependent on a job just over broke. You don't want to be depending on this one contract. It's like having a restaurant and only having one customer. You want to be like a restaurant with multiple customers. If one customer gets mad and don't want to come back to the restaurant, then you still got hundreds and hundreds of other customers. If one state, if you service vocational rehabilitation is not sending you clients, 49 other states, right? It's 1,000 other counselors. There's local, state, and federal in every state in the United States. It's outside of the country. There is your network of relationships that you built that will be able to help push you to where you want to go. And it's important that you have streams of revenue, multiple sources of revenue. Stop going out and looking for the perfect job. For most, it's not out there. And stop letting people push you into customer service. Unless you're born to do customer service, which there are some people that are literally born to be excellent at customer service, just because you're blind don't mean you need to be relegated to customer service. It's ridiculous. It's like having that big old metal cane with the big old tip and the red reflector, and ugh, I hate it too. You can have streams of revenue. Think about if you own multiple houses and you rented them out, right? You got 10 at $1,000 rent, and the mortgage was say 700. You got $300 a month extra times 10 coming in just from you being an owner, and it doesn't take a lot of money to do it. Now, let's say at the same time you're getting this revenue, because you don't need to have a full-time job to get, streams of revenue from ownership. Let's say you did write a PDF. You don't have to write a book. Write a PDF about something that you know, and you sell it for 99 cents. And you sell 1,000 copies of this 99-cent piece of information that only you can uniquely bring to the world. That's $1,000. And you come out with volume 2 of that same piece of information and update it. We still haven't even gotten to 5 hours a week. And you see how you have 2 streams of revenue. And you can do that with any skill that you have for multiple people. If you are a social media person, you can do social media for a bunch of people at one time. So build in and think about multiple streams of income that you can have. And again, this is for anybody who wants to truly work, right? It's find, which means you have to be looking, or create, which means you have to invent it. Work doesn't mean you have to work a job. It just means it's work. It does take some effort. That is meaningful, purposeful, and most of all, is profitable. And it doesn't have to be money to make it profitable. It could just be your heart's passion. Growing a garden, it takes work. It's something that you may not have known that you wanted to do, but you're doing it and it brings you joy. It brings health to your family. And maybe on the weekends, maybe you might want to sell some of your vegetables and make a little money. It's a stream of revenue, an income source, a way to get off of social insecurity. So, I hope this helps someone. Again, as always, if you guys have any questions, feedback, concerns, you can reach out at excellence@fedoraoutlier.com. I can tell you that those that get these concepts that I laid out are closing their cases around the United States at an alarming rate. But you got to want it. You got to know what you want to do. And the government is here to help you do what you want to do. Tell you a little secret. The government works for you. But if you don't tell them what to do, guess what? They're going to flip through their folders and they're going to still get a paycheck on the 15th and the last day of the month. And you're going to be 13 years trying to close out your case, talking about my counselor ain't doing nothing. They gave me a new counselor. Ain't no counselor coverage in my area. They don't know what they doing. It's a case. A case has notes in it. Anybody can look at the notes and make it happen. Cool. All right. So, if you guys have any questions, you have any comments, the phone lines are open. Mike, sorry for burning your ears out with that, but that's what we do.
Not at all. Not at all. It was everything that you said rings true. I'd also like to extend an offer to your listeners. I have a secondary business that invests in startups on the tech side. So if any of your listeners would need help creating a startup website or an app, but they don't have an investor, I would gladly entertain listening. And over the last 9 years, I've invested in over 117 platforms, and all of them have been able to generate revenue using an algorithm I created for data monetization.
So explain more to that. And Chris, you can let us know if anybody jumps in that has a question or comment or whatever. So how does that work, and how did you get started? And just tell me more about that.
Sure. Well, when I first lost my vision, I was in a really hard spot. I was 30. I just got married, just bought a house, and all of a sudden now I woke up, I'm blind, and my job forced me to resign. So my story got out, and a few Miami Dolphins football players heard about it, and they made a donation to my family. It allowed me to get a bankruptcy attorney, pay off some of the 9 surgeries that my insurance didn't cover, and literally just get back on my feet. So I created my first social networking site for people with medical conditions and disabilities. And I learned that with every person in the database, I could earn between $2 and $6 a month of reoccurring revenue through specific marketing ads. I then started teaching that seminar because I learned that there were no classes on this anywhere. Instagram doesn't teach you that if you have 1,000 followers, that they're making $6,000 a month off of you in ads. YouTube, if you get 1,000 views on YouTube, YouTube pays you $6 when they're making anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000. So it's the ratios just don't add up for me. So I started teaching that on how to monetize your database of your listeners. And if you're just able to take a step back from the social psychology of social media and really utilize it as a tool to then get businesses and get people to your platform. So at one of my seminars, I was approached by 8 investors, and they told me, Mike, we wanted to start investing in technology, websites and apps, but we need a nerd. Would you be our nerd? And I said, absolutely. And that was the start of Blind Tech Studio. And 9 years later, we've grown from 9 investors to over 19 investors. And every platform that we've invested in, the algorithm that we utilize to present to businesses for their marketing needs has worked out and turned at least 3 times the profit in 3 years or less. So very, very happy with our growth so far.
Right. And so how does a person bring an idea to you? What ideas are generally accepted? What's kind of like some examples of what has taken place and been successful for you guys?
Sure. So a person came to us and wanted a dating app for people that wanted to still date but didn't want to have any more kids. So the app is called No More Kids. That one's launching in about 45 days or so. We just finished that up, and because we're able to collect a database, we invested in this application. We have another app, another website called Challenge Soul. It's where you can perform and challenge your friends to do a specific challenge with you. So I challenge everybody for the next 14 days to walk a mile a day. And you could enter my challenge on Challenge Soul, and you'll be able to send a picture of your update, and then you get rewarded for that. So again, that has the ability to collect a database. We created a translation app called Lingo Mio, where it integrates with Google's neuromechanical translation, so you could translate text conversationally on the fly. And we thought that, hey, this is a great app. It has the ability to collect a database. Let's invest. So really, if you have a website or an app idea, no matter what your business is, whether you're a jeweler or a gynecologist, it doesn't matter. You have a customer base. and you should be able to monetize your customer base on a digital platform.
So the app, because going back to the whole networking and resource thing, are the apps like automatically accessible to the blind, I would imagine?
Everyone that we build is, yeah. We got so much work and started investing in so many platforms that 4 years ago we purchased 51% of the development company. That way we control it. We now know that every app and website that we build is completely accessible, because that's the most important for us, and not only for the blind, for those that are colorblind or suffer from some type of motor skill disability where they can't use their hands and they utilize a mouse. People that suffer from epilepsies and seizures, make sure nothing's flashing. And with that, we've been able to extend our branch of accessibility audits to businesses. There's a new epidemic where there's been 2,500 lawsuits for websites that are not accessible, but there's no solution being brought to the market. So we were able to not only give companies an audit, but then help them and teach them how to fix it. That way, it truly does make the world more accessible.
No, that is interesting. That's truly interesting. I get a lot of calls from companies that have been sued, and of course, we do the preliminary work. Audits, of course, would cost them a lot more money than what they're willing to spend, especially after being sued and settling. But it's interesting you bring that up. So we'll definitely talk. So give us the brief synopsis of your story. Like, when did you go blind, or were you born blind, or how did that all happen?
Sure. It happened 13 years ago. I was born sighted. I was completely normal. Well, I needed glasses. I'm also a diabetic. So outside of those two things, just normal guy. I have my PhD in computer science. And I was a chief technology officer for a tech firm. I created some software for the Bank of India to help them monetize their 700 million person database and unify their local long distance and ATM cards. They had separate, you had to use a separate card to make a local call, a separate card to make a long distance call, and a separate card to make to use an ATM. So we unified that database for them, showed them how they can start monetizing their their user base. And while I was there, I contracted an eye infection called uveitis. What that is it's pink eye, but it attacks inside your eye instead of outside. So I came back to the States. I went to the doctor, telling him about some eye pain I had, and I got some eye drops. About 4 to 5 months later, I felt pain in my left eye. I went back to the doctor. I got some more eye drops. And then I woke up 3 days before my 1-year wedding anniversary, and I couldn't see. So the infection attacked my retinas and made them both detach. So the doctor tried to reattach the right one, but being a diabetic for so long, the blood vessels in my eyes have thinned out over the years. So he was unable to reattach the right one. He was able to reattach the left one, however, but due to the damage, I only see like light sensitivity. If somebody flashes a light, I can make that out. Other than that, everything else is gray. And I've gone through, 9 surgeries in between, a lens replacement for cataracts due to the trauma. My eyes are both filled with silicone oil right now to hold everything in place to prevent further damage. When my older daughter was born, we saved the stem cells that came from her umbilical cord blood. And you needed 700,000 to get an injection, and we were able to save 1.2 million. So we're just waiting on the FDA to approve the enzyme that tells stem cells to become retina cells. And then I could get an injection and theoretically heal my left retina. But I've been waiting 8 years for that so far, and unfortunately there's nothing yet.
Wow. Yeah, I have 2 detached retinas from playing sports and getting hit in the eye with a plastic baseball bat in one and a basketball in the other. So I know about the detached retina thing.
Wow.
Yeah. Hold on one.
So, I always strive, though, and I tell people that, hey, I'm not a blind guy using technology. I'm a guy that loves technology that just happens to be blind. That's the way that's my outlook on life. And I've learned that if you complain about it and feel sorry for yourself, it's not going to change the fact of you being blind.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than make everybody else miserable, just find out what you need to do to get your life back in order and accomplish those goals that you still have.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. Christy, is there anyone on the line?
We do not have any callers currently. They still have about 3 minutes if they want to call in. And that was quite a story, Mike. Wow, you are very interesting.
Oh, thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you. We have one of the platforms that we did create is called Connected QR. This was an interesting platform that came to my attention. My friends wanted to revisit art exhibits and museums, but unfortunately there was nothing accessible for them. So we made Connected QR, which is a QR code-based company that when you scan a QR code, you can type in an unlimited amount of chapters on each of in the chapters, and it will read to you what the artwork is, what the artist interpretation of it was, where you can buy it, where you can sell it, and links to other artwork. We then adapted that same technology to menus. So our local pizzeria has an accessible menu. We call it a digital menu, but it's also completely accessible. And you only have to print out that QR code once, and it automatically updates on the fly whenever you change the data on the website. So it's free. It's also free to use. You know, again, we're just trying to do good and make the world more accessible.
Sounds like a plan. And if they want to learn more about submitting their ideas to you, how do they reach you?
They could email me at michael@blindtechstudio.com, or just feel free to call or text me at 954-593-9558.
Excellent. Cool. All right, and still nobody, Christy, correct?
Still no callers.
All right. Well, this has been Michael Otterman from Morgan Dynamic Research. I'm Vashawn Jones, Fedora Outlier LLC. And so we have our normal outro that I'm going to play in a sec as soon as I find it on my computer. Just joking. I have it. All right. So listen, guys, let's change the world. Let's change the world together. Mike, I appreciate you being on. Thank you for representing your company as well as MDR. And we will be talking soon.
Sounds great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. You're not going to hear this, but Mike, if you can go ahead and hang up, and then I will email you in the next couple of days, and we'll touch base.
Sounds great. Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
Cool. All right, everybody. Here's the outro. It's Sylvester Stallone saying what he says, and we will see you guys next month with another exciting show.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.